What is up? I hate to do this, guys, but I got it. Catch new episodes of Young Sheldon every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, following new episodes of The Big Bang Theory on the Channel 39, the WB. I don't know much in life, but I do know where the comedian I'm talking about today will be on Wednesday nights. And that's going to be on his couch with a bucket of popcorn by himself, a hole cut in the bottom of the popcorn. And that comedian is Joe Green, 1/4 of the Bomb City comedy team. Let's talk about Joe. So, Joe was there during the goat joke story that I talked about, the anvil joke. He enlightened me that the guy was actually a blacksmith. That's why he knew so much about anvils. I met Joe at Cherrywood Coffee House. I met Sean first. Then I met Joe, then I met AJ. And if I was a good storyteller, I would have started with Sean and then Joe and then AJ, but I'm not, all right? I'm an amateur. But anyhow, I remember when I met him, they were sitting outside. And I had just interrupted a conversation about Agabar. And I hadn't seen Agabar yet at that point. But the way they were describing him was like he was this mythical creature, that he would wear a mask on stage and that he had all this energy. And I did eventually see Agabar a bunch of times, and I'll talk about him in a later episode. And he was everything they talked about. Agabar's a madman. If y'all haven't seen him live, he's something to watch. But I jumped in and we just kind of started talking to each other. And I think either that night or the next night, Joe set up the group message between all of us on our phones. And that's how we ended up talking a lot and getting to know each other and, eventually setting up the mic that we had. So, Joe, the facilitator. I would say that out of the group, me and Joe, I think we meet eye to eye the least out of the group, I would say. I think he would agree with that. But that's good, there was one time where Sean had went on stage, and he's going to know if he hears this. He had a really off-color opening about somebody before him. And I think it went over fine, but in his head, we felt super bad about it. So it was about a woman. It wasn't about like her being a woman. It was about one of the jokes she told that was super personal, and he remarked on it. So later we were at Cherrywood just kind of chopping it up and eating some snacks and talking about life. And Sean was really, really feeling it. And Joe wasn't there. I think he had already moved to D.C., but we texted in the group what happened. And he just responded back like, who cares? Fuck her. So it was like brought us back down to earth because we all were trying to comfort, like me and AJ were trying to comfort Sean. And in actuality, she's a comic, so she should be fine. Or at least she was an aspiring comic. So, you got to have thick skin. But yeah, so, a couple of Joe's jokes that I really enjoy are, his Guy Fieri stuff is great. I really enjoy the joke he has about his parents. I won't go into too much detail. I remember he made me laugh really hard when Joey Ficken was kind of dozed off in the back of the room at Halcyon one time. And Joe pointed it out and said, "Look at Joey. Joey's getting REM sleep right now." Oh, it was great. Yeah, so Joe's a good dude, man. I'm glad he's part of the group. The story, oh man, I'm blanking right now. What was the story that I wanted to talk about? Yes, of course. So I've talked about a set that I did at the Parlor, where a gentleman came in and was screaming at people during their sets. So Joe wasn't at that set, but before he was about to leave to go to DC where he's living now, we went to Halcyon, I think, and did a open mic, and we said, you know what, let's go, let's pop over to is it BD Riley's? Or I think it might be BD Riley's. I forget what it's called. There's a bar right down the alleyway there from Halcyon. So we went to go get a drink, and we're sitting at the bar, having a drink, just talking about life, and a guy walks up to the bar and sits next to us, and lo and behold, it is the guy who was screaming through everyone's set. So he looks to the bartender and he orders a drink, and he's a little more coherent this night. And he orders a drink, and he goes, "Hey, bartender, you want to hear a joke?" So I'm thinking, like, no way. So the bartender kind of blows him off. He turns to his right, to his people to the right, and he goes, "Hey, man, you want to hear a joke?" And the guy's like, nah. So wouldn't you know it, he turns to me and Joe, and he goes, "Hey, y'all want to hear a joke?" So Joe smiles. A huge smile comes across Joe's face. He turns to me. He's like, "You want to hear a joke?" I was like, "Yeah." So the guy starts in on this joke, and Joe turns to me and very quietly goes, "Dude, you have to interrupt him. You have to interrupt him right now." So I'm waiting for my moment, and the guy's telling the joke. It's going on for a super long time. Underneath the bar, Joe is elbowing me to get me to, like, cut this guy off. But I have a plan, right? So he's elbowing me. Eventually he stops. The guy keeps going, tells this long-winded joke, finally hits the punchline, and is looking to me and Joe to see if we're going to laugh. And the only thing I remember looking at him and going, "You know what, man? I'm just not that into comedy." It wasn't as satisfying as you'd think, but I felt obligated that I had to be a dick to this guy. He laughed at the joke himself, turned, finished his beer, and then eventually left the bar. But I did think that was a very circular situation in life where Joe was there for it. And after, maybe this is too lifetimey to share, but after that happened, it actually started snowing outside. So it was the world, cooling off the energy of that, the angry energy of that guy who shouted through everybody's set just weeks before. So yeah, that's my Joe story. I'm sure there's a lot of other stories to talk about. But again, yeah, man, glad to have Joe in the group. You may see him at future Bomb City open mics if we get back out there. As I said in a past episode, Joe got in really great shape, and then morphed into a cardboard cutout, and we have kind of just been taking care of him ever since. So shout out to Joe. Shout out to everybody listening. Appreciate you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. Stand-up comedy will be back. Have a great rest of your day.